Welcome back to Face to Face. Let's get to our next questioner now.
My name is Laura Bode. I'm 43 years old and I live in Edmonton. I'm a single mom of 2 teenagers who are 15 and 16 years old. I'm a graphics design student and really looking forward to graduating at the end of the year and joining the workforce. I am an undecided voter because I see 2 parties that I want to vote for, yet want my vote to have as much sway as possible. As a disabled person, the rights and well-being of the disabled Canadians is always a big issue of concern for me. I'm really hoping to vote for a party that will look out for the well-being of my family and for all Canadians.
Okay, Laura, over to you.
Hello, Mr. Singh.
Hi there.
If it weren't for the fact that my family has been heavily supporting me, I wouldn't be able to make ends meet. What would you do if elected in order to enable Canadians with disabilities to live better lives?
We would immediately implement guaranteed income for people living with disabilities of $2,200 a month, just as a starting point to lift people into a position of dignity so that people don't have to worry about making ends meet.
Laura, would that be enough money for you, $2,200 a month?
It would help, definitely.
Yeah, I'll take a little bit more of your time and I'll come back to you and see if there's anything else. You've said that you'll start a conversation with provinces to bring in a national pharmacare program. As you know, there are some provinces not interested in that. Quebec, even BC has said, we've got our own deal, thanks. So how do you convince provinces that a national plan is needed?
I'm not suggesting anyway that it's easy, but it makes sense. And the reason why it makes sense for people that are limited on their income, it would save a lot of money for families. What we would do is let's put together the buying power of all Canadians and negotiate better prices. Instead of having one province negotiate separately.
But just let me ask you, would you allow provinces to opt out? Quebec, for instance, has a plan. It's not going to want your plan. Would you just give them a pile of money and let them opt out?
We've said that Quebec would have the right to opt out, but we know that this would be a plan, if everyone opts in, would be better for everyone.
Laura, you had another follow-up.
Not quite a follow-up, but my question is about healthcare.
Yeah.
Alberta, there's a lot of rumors going around that Kenny is trying to privatize healthcare. What would you do in order to ensure the protection of those of us, again, with disabilities who would probably not qualify?
We would use the Canada Health Act to enforce the public delivery of care, but also when it came to the delivery of private for-profit care in long-term care homes, we put a motion saying that we should get rid of that profit in long-term care homes. We are opposed to private care firmly. The other parties aren't, and so if that's something that's important to you, you can count on us to defend public health care.
I had a follow-up on that pledge as well, to end private for-profit long-term care. Exactly how would you put them into public ownership? How would you go around and just buy them all up?
So it's not the ownership, it's the delivery of care that we're most focused on. Right now, when you've got a for-profit model of care, that means the care, some of that dollars that go towards care are going towards profiting the investors or the shareholders.
This is a provincial jurisdiction,
but
so what do you do?
We would include it into our Canada Health Act. So when we transfer money, why would a Canadian sit well with the idea that our public money is going into a company like Rivera that's their shareholders are going to profit from Canadian dollars being invested in long-term care? That doesn't make any sense. I want to see every single cent that we invest in long-term care going to our seniors, going to our loved ones.
That's a big thing. Now you have to get the provinces sitting at the table, and you've got to crack open the Canada Health Act and restructure it so that you suddenly have control of long-term care? That's basically what you're saying.
Not control, but when we're funding, we don't want any of our funds to go into private care. So we can make sure that happens.
But provinces don't even want national standards for long-term care. They don't want you in their business. So here's another example, pharmacare, where you're just assuming that you're going to be able to convince provinces and territories to go along with it.
Oh, I'm confident we can convince people. The reason is...
Have you met the premier, sir?
It's not about the premiers, it's about people. And people who lost their loved ones. But let me finish this idea. People who lost their loved ones in long-term care, they lost their loved ones to horrible conditions where they were neglected, not fed right, not fed appropriately, not given water, not treated well because of for-profit care, and that's clear. How would I stand by and let that happen? I'm going to find a way to find a solution.
But it is not your job. It is the premier's job.
That's the difference between me and see, the difference between me and maybe Mr. O'Toole, Mr. Trudeau is that they can maybe live with being like, oh, it's not my job. I think it's my job.
It's
If I'm
not
the
that it's
Prime
not their
Minister-
job. It's literally not their jurisdiction.
No, I disagree. If that
But you
was the
have to
approach,
change the law to make it your
if
jurisdiction.
that was our approach, though, Ms. Barton, then we would not have universal health care.
Yes, but there is a division of power. And what you're saying, you're going to go to provinces and say, you're not doing it right, so I'm going to do it?
No, no. The difference is I'm going to go to a loved one who's lost their mom or their dad and say to them,
okay.
I'm going to fight for you. I'm going to fight to make sure that this never happens again.
Okay.
I'm not going to hide behind jurisdictions.
Laura, anything else from you?
No, thank you very much.
Time for a quick break.